Things were really bad then. I was taking a lot of drugs, I was living a really manic lifestyle. Just day to day was about surviving that day.
For the past 5 years, Keiren has had no fixed address, nowhere to call home. Having had a happy childhood, he became homeless at the age of 16, after difficulties with his family and having made a series of poor decisions. Since then, he's moved between temporary or scatter flats, as well as hostels and prison.
Was it possible to see an end in sight to that? I mean, what was going through your head then?
I just thought, this is never going to end, it's just the same again. 14 changes I had in the space of 2 years. That was address changes. And it was just like, they just put you into a hostel and then you sit in a scatter flat and then they don't do anything. You don't get any help at all to move into other houses, help with cooking, cleaning, anything like that. Again, it doesn't sound all that hard, but it is when you get your own house.
Just over 1 in 10 of the population falls into the 16 to 25-year-old age bracket, but they make up almost a quarter of all homeless applications. That makes them the most overrepresented group within the homeless community. Now 21, Keiren is finding his feet thanks to the support of the charity The Rock Trust and his project worker Dean.
Every young person needs a role model of some kind to base their idea of what something positive looks like. Where can they go from this? And someone just encouraging them, someone in their corner. You know, it's often you might go to appointments and sometimes young people are not really listened to when they're expressing, this is what's happening for me. And all it takes is for a worker to then come in and say, well, this is what's happening for them. And you're saying the same thing, but because you're a worker, it holds more gravitas when it really shouldn't.
Breakdown in relationships, including being asked to leave and household disputes, remains the most common cause of homelessness. But a key factor underpinning this whole issue is poverty. Young people are more likely to be on lower wages and have no references for landlords, so when they are forced out, it's harder to access alternative housing.
So this is our group room, and we use it for educational classes and also for drop-in for young people, like a bit of a comfortable space. So young people can come in and get dry shoes and coats, toiletries. So essentially if a young person comes in crisis, we can offer them everything to get warm, dry, fed, the whole lot.
The Rock Trust provides housing through a night stop scheme, where volunteers use a spare room to help a young person.
We totally believe that young people need a different service to adults. They need to be treated like children and young people.
It's more than just giving people a house though, isn't it?
Definitely. And it's about offering choice and offering the opportunity to change your mind as well. So what we try and do is give our young people the same choices that we would have. Obviously they're limited to whatever the young person's means are for paying for that and resourcing that and building those social networks. If we want to truly make homelessness rare, brief and non-recurring, we need to do more prevention activities. Our work is moving more towards working with young people who are under 16 to prevent them from becoming homeless in the first place. We should be the last resort, really.
How difficult do you think it is for people to stop that cycle of going in and out of prison?
That's one of the hardest things, I think. Homelessness almost feels like you're in jail, to be honest with you. You're just always trapped inside the cycle of hostels, jail. You could go from a hostel one day, then you get told at 8 o'clock in the morning there's a taxi outside, you're going to Methil or leaving or just anywhere, then they just chuck you from where they need you. They don't care about you, they just put you, you're just a name on a list to them, do you know what I mean?
Young people are more likely to be part of the hidden homeless population. Official figures do not include everyone staying with friends or sofa surfing, meaning the true scale of the problem is unknown.
There must be a lot of others that you see slipping through the net as well.
I think the two biggest things that certainly I've known that we battle are mental health and addictions. You know, them two combined are fatal sometimes, which is really unfortunate, because if they just had the right support at the right time, you could capture them. You know, everybody wants a positive destination, you know, and everybody has potential.
Figures obtained by Scotland Tonight show significant differences in the average wait for a single person to be granted social housing, depending on where they live. A lack of these homes is one of the key issues facing many local authorities.
For some areas, it will be a shortage of social housing, which means that people will spend a long time in temporary accommodation. But we do know that in some areas, particularly for young people, they will be asked to complete courses that prove they're ready for a house. So the picture is not entirely clear why it happens. Sometimes it will be that people need to show they've done all the learning required before moving into a house.
The Scottish Government says it has delivered more than 100,000 affordable homes since 2007, more than 73,000 for social rent. Preventing youth homelessness long term will also involve tackling its economic and social roots.
Sometimes I get angry that we're still 30 years later doing the same work, but really we're working together and it's a much more progressive picture. The young people we come across just need the right housing and support.
Keiren is grateful to have received both.
You can take a deep breath now and start piecing my life back together, because it's been such a mess. There is light at the end of the tunnel if you just stick with it and keep going.